This is a 200-pound block of marble, and this is the sound of me having no idea what I'm doing.
It's a little dustier than I thought.
I have only 3 weeks to carve this into a sculpture worthy enough to be entered into one of the country's largest art shows. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. I know nothing about marble. And not just marble, I don't know anything about any type of stone. I don't even have tools to work with these stones yet. But the reason why I want to give this a try is because when I think about great sculptors, the first thing I think about is marble sculptors. Marble is considered one of the hardest materials to work with, and that's why I want to challenge myself like I've never challenged myself before. First things first, let's buy some basic stone carving tools.
All right, a little nervous. The very first time cutting into marble. Wish me luck.
This is Calacatta Marble, sourced from Italy, and I bought it from a great guy named Miles who owns the company To Sculpt. I purchased this piece as well as 2 other marble stones that you saw in the back of my truck, and a set of basic stone carving tools. I can't thank Miles enough for helping me get started.
It's a little dustier than I thought. At least the top matches the bottom now.
Right now I'm just trying to square up this block so I can make a melamine mold around it and hold all the epoxy. And let me show you my vision right here. I want to make a classic Roman torso sculpture where the bottom half is marble and then the top half is crystal clear epoxy. And I really like this block of marble for this piece because its top side has this organic triangular slope to it, which I think could make this piece look really cool. This is a very dusty situation, but luckily I think the dust is so heavy that it actually just kind of settles pretty quickly and doesn't really venture off into the street or my backyard or any of the other spaces. It kind of stays contained into this area, which is nice. Now that I got this block square, I need to clean up the top. This top you're actually going to see through the epoxy in the finished sculpture, so any kind of dust or debris or this kind of grime that you see here is going to be seen on the finished sculpture, so I want to make this as clean as possible. After a couple hours of cleanup and sanding, this thing is looking beautiful. Check out the veining on this thing. It is so cool. Now that that's done, I run into my next problem. Usually, I am able to lift a piece of wood into a melamine mold. This thing is over 200 pounds, and I am not lifting this and dropping it into a melamine mold. So basically, I'm gonna have to build a mold around this piece. It's time for the epoxy pour, and if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I have some struggles with pouring epoxy. I am not messing around on this one. I'm gonna play this one safe and pour this in layers because this block of marble is way too expensive and too much work has already gone into it to make any kind of mistakes like I do on my wood sculptures. Each layer is going to be 2 gallons of epoxy and just over 2 inches thick. Each layer is going to take a couple days to cure, and that gives me the perfect time to go out there and try and learn how to carve marble. So I'm going to go out there, see what kind of scraps I have, and see if I could actually carve something out of it and try and learn as much as possible. I'm going to try and carve a T-Rex tooth. I think this is a really good first attempt because I'm super familiar with the shape. I've made at least 100 of these out of wood before. But even more so, I know it takes me exactly 45 minutes to an hour to start and finish one out of wood. So this will be a really good test so I can compare and see how long the marble one takes. I also think that the really thin tip is a perfect test for me to see the breaking point of marble. I'm basically expecting this thing to break. I'm not really sure what tool to use and when, so I'm just kind of playing around with all the different tools I have so I can get a feel for them. So far, I'm actually amazed this thing hasn't fractured. There it is. Now, this is what I was expecting to happen on the tip of the tooth, but not here. Off camera, I was just putting, I guess, a little too much pressure on the rotary burr and it completely shattered. I'm not upset one bit. I'm actually taking this opportunity to see if I could actually fix this thing and see if it looks like it was broken. So far, sanding is very slow. I mean, very, very slow. And once I sand a 5000 grit, I'm gonna add a polishing compound and see what it looks like. I wanna hear what you guys think, but I absolutely love this thing. You can barely even see the fracture and it just feels good in your hand. It's crazy how heavy this little thing is. Oh, and as far as timing goes, this took me, no joke, around 4 hours to make. So this is about 4 times more time consuming than making a wooden one, and I'm that much more nervous about finishing the main sculpture in time for the art show. All right, the experimenting's done. Let's get to finishing our epoxy pours. This has got to be one of the clearest epoxy pours I've ever done. And I have a feeling that's because there's no porous surface on this marble. When I pour epoxy on wood, it has all these open pores and gaps and cracks and areas for bubbles to get trapped and then release on the pour. With this piece, there's not a single bubble, and this is the clearest piece of epoxy I've ever poured. All right, this is the moment of no return. It's time to start my very first marble carving. One of the biggest problems I'm having right now is the difference in carvability between the epoxy and the marble. With the marble, I do all the relief cuts and then I could chisel it off, and it's a semi-predictable break from my hour of experience thus far. But the epoxy is completely unpredictable. You cannot chisel epoxy. It might fracture throughout the whole center of this sculpture. So I basically have to do two kind of cut lines, one separating the epoxy from the marble, and then carve them at different times. While I continue carving this, let me tell you about the art show, which is only a couple weeks away. I've never been to an art show before. I have no idea what to expect, but I am headed to Scottsdale March 19th through the 22nd for the Scottsdale Art Week, and it is a huge event. There are galleries all over the country and all over the world, including the gallery that is representing me. I'm being represented by Maria Elena Kravetz, and she's actually based out of Argentina. Maria just sent me an email and said that, hey, I am bringing my gallery and some artists to this show. If you're interested, we would love to have you. And I thought for a bit, said okay, but I gotta make this sculpture first. So here we are, making the sculpture for the show. Only about a week and a half left to go. So if you happen to be in Scottsdale March 19th through the 22nd, come on down to the event. I would love to see you guys. I'll have all the Art Week information down in my description. All right, it's day 2. And here are my takeaways from a full day carving marble and epoxy. It's technically not more complicated than a wooden epoxy sculpture. I'm doing the same technique of carving up to my lines. It's just carving the marble portion is 10 times slower and more physically demanding than wood. If this were a wood sculpture, wooden epoxy, chainsaw, boom, 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 boom. Within an hour, I could probably get to this point. This took me all day yesterday, and it's just, I mean, my forearm is still sore from yesterday, and it is a ton of work, but also really fun. I love the hammer and chisel. It's super fun and just different to work with, so I am very excited to get after this thing today. I'm hoping one of you guys can tell me what this is. Inside this chunk, and actually on the sculpture too, there are these metal fragments embedded in the marble. Is this like a natural metallic vein, or like what is this gold? Should I save this? I don't know what it is, but I'm hoping one of you guys know what it is, and please let me know down in the comments if I should be hoarding this. All right, the time has come. I get to start working on the epoxy, a material that I'm a little bit more familiar with, and I get to use tools that I'm much more familiar with. So let's get shaping this epoxy. Now I'm getting into some of the more difficult areas, like between the legs. I need to figure out what tool to use to get into these narrow spaces, and I'm honestly just having a ton of fun experimenting with all the different tools I have and just kind of figuring out how marble works. I know I'm very early on with my marble carving career, but I could see myself doing this more, and I do have 2 more stones that I will make in the future, but this, as of right now, is really fun to work with. And speaking of those other 2 stones, you guys need to let me know what I should carve out of them. One of them is a jet black marble with white veining, and the other one is a stezazine, some kind of stezazine, something like that. And anyways, it's white, but it has a little bit of purple and gray veining. So what should I carve out of these? All right, it is day 3. Yesterday went really, really well, but I consider this the awkward stage in any sculpture where it's just, you could kind of see the shape, but it's just way too bulky. There's way too much mass on this still. So we have to take off a ton of material. And this is the least confident stage I have carving, because any mistake now will translate into the final sculpture. So today, I'm gonna take my time, really start rounding things out and slowly taking away material to get this to the final shape. Hey guys, I have a goal of reaching 1 million subscribers. I am a long ways away from that right now, but each and every one of you could help me reach my goal. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, and in return, I'll show you a picture of this fox. In all seriousness, these videos take a tremendous amount of time to film and edit, so by supporting my channel and my work, you're helping me continue to make these videos, something I am so fortunate to be able to do for a living. Thanks, guys. I am really liking carving with marble, and One of the things that impresses me most is the figuring. In woodworking, we call a piece of wood that has swirl patterns figure. I don't know what that's called in the marble world, veining, or maybe it's figure as well, but this piece of marble has amazing figure. I love staring at it. It's a beautiful piece of marble. And I am quickly becoming a big marble guy. And I don't have any merch, I don't sell any merch or anything like that, but if I did, you're looking at it right here, it'd be just like this. Big marble guy. Big marble guy. Big marbles. Big marbles on that guy. This sculpture will be listed for sale at the art show and over on my website. And speaking of websites, I want to thank this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace offers flexible website templates with options to customize your look, update content, and add features that fit to your needs. They also have design intelligence, which empowers anyone to build a beautiful website tailored to their unique needs. I've been using Squarespace for over 5 years now, and I love how easy it is to update sculptures, add a product to my store, and navigate the entire website. And this is coming from a big marble guy, not a tech-savvy guy. So if you're interested, head on over to the link in my description or use the QR code here to save 10% on your first website or domain. Thanks, Squarespace. As you can see here, I'm adding kind of a texture to the arms and then the neck. I want to create that kind of crumbled look when you, again, look back at those Roman sculptures where it's, you know, an arm chopped off. It's not a clean line. It's a kind of crumbly, natural break in the stone. And that's what I'm trying to achieve by doing this here. I made a huge mistake. And I don't even know when I did it. I think I did it on day 2 and I just noticed it right now, but there is something that I don't think I'm going to be able to fix on this. Let me show you. So look at the back here. We have the kind of scap and back muscle curving around to the shoulder. Look on this side. I completely carved it away. And it looks terrible. It looks so bad. This is not something I can fix. It's not like I can pour more epoxy here. There's really only 2 things I can do. One is just leave it as is and kind of shape everything and see if I can get it looking a little bit better with a little carving down everything. Or number 2, see how I'm going for the kind of crumbled, chopped off look. I could possibly crumble this whole area so then this section looks like it's knocked off, which could work, but I would be nervous about making it even worse. So I think I'm going to stick to option 1. Just leave it and try and make it work. It's just it's so frustrating because if this were a marble problem, like it fractured or me being new at working with marble, I could understand that. But I have no excuse for this. I just wasn't thinking. Let's see if we can get this thing looking good, and we'll see how noticeable this mistake is when it's done. Let's keep working on it. I'm actually going to start really rough sanding this thing right now. I always see the sculptures a little bit better. I could pick up on the proportions or areas that I need to shave down a little bit if I have a smooth surface. So I'm going to just roughly sand this down so I can get a better feel for the overall form. I don't know how marble does this, but it just looks like skin. Just the texture, the sheen of it is very skin-like, and you can tell why these great sculptors use marble. I mean, it makes sense now. I get why they love using this material. I mean, I'm a big marble guy already, and this is my first sculpture. All right, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Today I want to take down these ribs. I think they're a little too pronounced. And then on the back side, I'm gonna round this over a little bit. Because right here, you actually go from like an indent of the back to actually like your vertebrae bones kind of sticking out. So starting here, I kind of want to have those protrude out a little bit. So I'm going to take some material down. I'm hoping by the end of today, this thing is ready for finish sanding. Sanding this is no joke. I've used more sandpaper than any other sculpture I've ever done, and that's including way bigger sculptures than this. And I think the marble just doles out the sandpaper super easily. And yes, I'm using the right sandpaper. I'm a big marble guy. I did my research. I'm using silicone carbide, and I'm still going through an insane amount of sanding discs. Nothing to see here. This is completely normal. This is just a big marble guy giving a nice friendly bath to his good old lady friend in a tub. You guys are the sickos watching this kind of stuff. All right, we are on the home stretch. This thing is sanded to 5,000 grit. And I think I'm just gonna put some polishing compound on it. And then I need to figure out what kind of finish you use on marble. I found out you could use some wax or oil just like I do on my wood sculptures, and I really like this Bumbleshoots wood conditioner because it's white. A lot of wood finishes are actually yellow, and I would be really afraid to put anything yellow on this sculpture. This has got to be one of the most fun sculptures I've ever carved, and if you guys can't tell, I enjoy making these videos too, with all these goofy things going on. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video because I've loved every part of it. This sculpture is headed off to Arizona, and I hope to see some of you there. March 19th through the 22nd. If you're there, come check it out. Come say hi. Love to see you guys. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Thanks, guys. Oh, one last thing. Probably didn't notice it in the video, but this thing is still freakishly heavy for how small of a sculpture it is. So let's weigh it and then get to the final reveal. $76.6. Okay, hold up. This is the first time I've actually had like studio lights on the sculpture, and I immediately saw all of these scuff marks from places that I missed sanding. So I'm going all the way back to 220 grit, and I'm gonna resand this entire thing. And then after that, I'm gonna polish it, and this time I'm actually gonna use a power buffer to see if that makes a difference. I can immediately start seeing a difference, and I am so glad I went back and did this. I was going back and forth whether or not I wanted to do this, and I couldn't be happier that I took the time to do this properly. And now that it's complete, there's only one thing left to do. Rebrand. Big Marble Guy is proud to present you with a finished sculpture.